Hello and welcome everyone to episode 86 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, and I think we're gearing up for a good time here.
I think so too. We are back into it. It feels good, and man, we're getting to the stuff we've been really waiting for.
Yeah. This arc is cooking now. I'm ready.
Yep. Oh, let's do it. Chapter 386, Unprecedented. And, we see that Miss Golden Week and Mr. Fiver, they are trying to figure out what to do about Miss Valentine's capture, but
yeah,
we don't really know what will happen from that point.
I kind of didn't go into this thinking we would actually see her just like getting crucified.
That's a bit different, no?
Yeah, I mean, because they alluded to it a couple of chapter covers ago, but I was like, oh no, she's just all right. She's just here.
Yep, just hung up. All right. Oh boy.
You see how see how she does things.
Yeah, indeed. But we go back into it with Spandam just showing you how much of a piece of crap he is continually. He's just hanging out with Funkreed, his elephant, and marveling over the golden transponder snail, which is what is used in order to call the Buster Call.
There's something very like tense in like the worst way where, you know, he's just got like his hand hovering over the button. With this one button, an island will disappear. You know, authority itself is a kind of weapon. It's just like, and the fact that like a guy like walks in on him, you know, just like Director Spandam. It's just like knowing how clumsy he is already. It's just like,
Yeah, not so good. He's like, then this guy's like, hey, sorry to interrupt. You can marvel over your unearned power later. An important transponder call, a snail call from Enies Lobby main island. And it's like, why not call from this in the room? It's like, oh, hey, the receiver's off the hook. Who keeps doing that? It's like, this is the man entrusted with the power to destroy an island. Oh, lovely.
This is the part where I remembered suddenly, oh, he doesn't know.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good at all. And the thing that makes this so delicious is that he decides to walk up to the chained up Frankie and Robin. And it's like, so there's a report from the main island. I'm sure it must be about the fate of the Straw Hat Luffy. He only beat 5 of my guards. 5
of my guards.
And how the giants have crushed your comrades and what happens when you oppose the government. Let's listen together. And it's like, all right, report. Summarize concisely. Did you kill them? It's like 60 pirates have invaded. Their present attack has reached a final point on on Enies Lobby main island, the square before the court itself. And it's just showing just the chaos.
It's just right page turning onto that spread, just seeing all of them come through. Zoro and Sanji up front. Just, it's great.
Oh, it looks so cool. Poor Gamora's passed out. But Sanji and Zoro are ready to take over, and it looks so good. And you get to just see how tall these gates are.
Yeah.
Like, jeez. They're all marveling. Oda also having to get really clever with how to show Nami.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of close calls, no panty shots, but...
Yeah. He's skirting the line, pardon the phrase.
Quite literally.
And they're basically trying to figure out, okay, how the heck do we get up there to get to Luffy? And how many CP9 agents is he fighting? I was like, well, it seems like only the guy with the big horns. We got to go and help. Let's go. And that's when more of the soldiers start showing up. And Yokozuna, time for Yokozuna to have the save because he blocks a giant iron ball, the same one that took out Gamora.
I feel like every couple of chapters has been like, okay, now this character has to do like their thing to kind of like their sacrifice, so to speak, to let the others go on forward. And it's like, now it's Yokozuna's time to shine.
Mm-hmm. And each time you think, oh, okay, now it's going to be the Straw Hat's time to step up and get into a fight. But not really. Each time our supporting players get that chance to show off, which is nice. It's a great way to do it.
Although I got kind of confused by this because it sort of happened off screen, but like Sanji also just like took care of one off screen.
Yeah, he kind of instantly heads over there saying, he complains about them being noisy. He's like, oh, I went and checked it out and beat one immediately.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yep. All right. So I was like, hey, there's several more, so be careful. We got to hurry. So how are we going to get past these doors? And he just, again, off panel. It's like, hey, I've cut through. Let's go.
All right. Sure, why not?
Yep. So while they're going through the center to get go across the drawbridge, the Frankie family is splitting up in order to release the drawbridge. So that's the plan right now. And we go back to Spandam, who's hearing all this, and he's just
like, what?
His nose is dripping. He's panicking. It's so satisfying hearing
it's
it's
like, oh, we lost the giants.
Yep, we lost the giants. Over 2,000 men have already been defeated. More than 1,000 was done by Luffy himself.
When you break it down like that, holy hell.
Yeah. Holy crap, Luffy. It's like, this is a catastrophe like which we've never seen before in the history of Enos Lobby. It's like, Blueno, what's he doing down there? And he looks down, what is happening? And all the while we get this laugh from Frankie.
I love Frankie just laughing it up.
It's so good. Oh,
Frankie's also kind of an underrated MVP in the set of chapters.
Yeah, just sort of there to the needle at Spandam the entire time.
It's great.
The crazy thing is, it's kind of an establishing chapter because usually I'm used to like 17 to 19 pages for a chapter. Yeah. There's only 15 this time around.
Yeah, that was pretty dense. But sometimes the page count can be influenced just kind of like by deadlines and stuff. We do have a fair amount of like shorter chapters, I feel like, in this day and age in the manga.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. I mean, you only have so much time. It takes a lot to draw. There's a lot of characters he's drawing recently.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. And I still feel like things happen. We got... Yeah. It's establishing and firmly showing like, oh, Spandam, you messed up.
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like that's... And sort of getting everybody in place. You know, they're all, trying to get through the courthouse.
Yes.
Which I feel like is sort of the running theme for the set of chapters. Actually, yeah, for the entirety.
Pretty much. So, yeah, let's not waste any time. Get to 387 gear. And we get...
this color spread is so good.
Yeah, we haven't seen Zoro versus Luffy in a long time, but this feels more appropriate that they're just jousting.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I don't know. It's just something fun about it. Simple but effective.
Yep.
Time for panicking the Spandam, though. He's like, Chief Justice Baskerville, get in here. We need to figure this out. We get more of Baskerville's whole shtick.
Still sucks.
Yep.
Still not funny.
Still not exactly entertaining or anything like that. And he's just like, what's the status? The status? The worst.
That got a good laugh out of me. You turn the page, you see the spread of just like all of these like Marines just like in a tornado.
Yep. Oh my God. Just seeing them flying all over the place. The pirates have cut through the doors and invaded, and Zoro's just like, this is go pretty smoothly. And they're like, wait, there's a 3-headed man up there, and what's all about that? And that's like, okay, we got 2 stairs off to each side. One go that way, one go the other way. That's how we're going to get up there and release the drawbridge. And
all while this is happening, they're just talking all over Baskerville.
Yeah, they're talking like the court is in session. It's like the crimes are as follows. And it's like, yeah, who cares? And all the Marines are like, they're so disrespectful. Yeah. How dare they?
They pointed this out before, and I think they pointed out again soon. Like, this whole place is empty because it's just like like the definition of justice here is like an empty gesture.
Yes.
Where it's like anybody who walks through here is already considered guilty. So I find it very funny that Oda is like taking the time to point out like that they still like they care about the formalities here, even though it is like entirely a formality with, there's no bite to it at all. Like it's just, you're already guilty here. So
yeah.
And they rightfully just they just ignore him.
Yeah. We get a new sword technique from Zoro where his swords get wavy for some reason thanks to his charming demon sleepless night onigiri. So
yeah,
okay.
I feel like that must be some of that like cursed sword action going on there.
I also love the Frankie family looking at Zoro. He's like, why isn't he the captain?
Yeah, I laughed a lot at that. That and just they're sort of like watching the Straw Hats' antics, kind of as like a third party, and they're just like, what is wrong with these people?
Exactly. It just makes no sense. Zoro's getting lost already. Sanji's trying to be the brave hero again. Just like, oh my god! Again, the antics.
Yeah, I love this. Like, are they ever going to help Big Brother? Referring to Frank, he's like, well, they will when they get around to it.
Yeah. Pretty much. And our judge here finally has enough, attacks him, saying, don't ignore me. And it looks like Zoro is going to be the one taking them on, which it seemed to make sense to me, when all of a sudden here comes the Frankie family pulling them down.
Yeah, which is it took me a second to realize what they were doing, but yeah, they just like by the feet just drag him down.
It's like I said, every time you think it's going to be a Straw Hat fight, no, it's time for the other characters to step in and show what they can do.
That really, again, that might be the biggest takeaway I have rereading this arc is like the kind of quote unquote minor characters really get so much time to shine. It's really satisfying to see.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And we get all that chaos, and it's time to go to the relatively more simplistic fight between Luffy and Blueno. It's like, there's way less to draw here.
Yep.
But Luffy has recovered from his face being turned into a door, which is an odd sentence to say. And
the face door is closed.
And is like, I'm surprised you're able to dodge my Tempest kick. It was nothing. It's like, that hurts. That's like, it's supposed to be insulted by it. And just the casual way that he dodges Blueno's attack.
Yeah, I really love the action pages here where like we're able to see Luffy kind of just like he goes toe to toe with Blueno, and it's like as if the like the 6 powers techniques, like he's not like overwhelmed by them, but he's able to just get a handle on it. He's not been able to overpower him yet, but he's able to keep up.
Yeah, he can't do that finishing blow or anything like that, but Blueno just can't get that advantage. He's so used to being able to take out people with no issue, and none of it's working. I
love that that panel of Luffy with the Gum Gum Bullet versus the Iron Body, and they just like the clash the fists.
Yes,
it really feels entirely even.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one also took me a second to understand what had happened, but like Blueno goes in for the Tempest kick, and Luffy like he kicks his leg so that the Tempest kick misses.
Yes,
which is just like that's awesome.
Yeah, it's dead even, and it's great to see Blueno sort of being taken off by this. But he's also like, okay, we're dead even, but I can handle this. But Luffy just sort of smiles like, oh, I can't beat you like this, and we get an explanation.
I really love the speech.
Yeah. It's like, when I lost to Aokiji, I thought if I was going to meet others just as strong out at sea, I had to grow stronger to protect my friends. Even if I'm not that strong, I have friends I want to be with. I've got to be stronger than everyone or I'll lose them. And so I came up with a way to fight at top strength so I won't have to lose to anyone. And all of a sudden, we see him do this strange stuff where he sort of layers the rubber in his legs.
Yeah, and it's like goes up, and it's sort of...
His body starts steaming, and it's like, what is happening here? Like, Blueno doesn't know, Luffy doesn't explain it, we don't know. All Luffy says is, you can't keep up with me anymore, all of my abilities have evolved to the next level, and we get the name for it, Gear 2. Although I think it's also called Gear 2 as well, but man, that panel, yeah,
that panel is, I think, one of the most iconic panels in the entire manga. It is still one of my favorites. It's just seeing Luffy just like devoured in smoke with that, just like that runner, like that sprinter pose almost. It's great.
Yes. And it's just like, I can't imagine the hype people had for this moment where it's like, oh my gosh, is Luffy getting forms?
Yeah. I mean, it's very rare. I think before we get into the next chapter, what I really love about this speech is that like you don't ever kind of get an insight into what Luffy's thinking. But Luffy, you never see his thoughts, and he's never one to like he doesn't explain kind of like his own thinking or his own thought process. And so he very clearly lays out like, I have to find a way to fight at top strength to protect my friends.
Yeah.
And we're sort of seeing that bear out.
My base abilities weren't enough. Needed to find a way to get stronger. I found a way. We don't know what that way is, but it's here.
Yeah. I love that. Just Luffy saying, "You can't keep up with me anymore." Is like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah. It is wild. But we also get the finishing bits of the fan favorite moves along with the end of this. And I am so happy. It didn't make the top 10, but it got 12th place. The Rubber Band of Doom.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
the most powerful technique.
Of course. Of course. Oh, goodness. But yeah, well, let's not waste any more time. See what Gear 2 is all about with Chapter 388. Gear 2.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Gear 2. Yeah.
And as far as the Baroque reunion is concerned, all of a sudden, Mr. 3 shows up on a cart, wriggling around, tied up in front of Hina. It's like, Mr. 3 surrenders? It's like, oh. And I honestly thought Mr. 2 just like, oh, you're going to use this as a distraction, so I'm just going to tie you up and toss you this way.
Yeah.
That's seriously what I thought was happening.
Yeah. It's just like, all right, here's the plan.
Your bait.
Yep.
But we'll see how that all goes, as Blueno's sort of like trying to figure out what the heck he means by abilities evolving and why there's steam coming from his body. It's like, is this kind of a bluff? And it's like, you're aiming at me? Like, he's like, Luffy's just preparing this gum something. And it's like, well, you're just giving me a chance to dodge your attack because that. So, hey, take care for him and see if you can hit me. And he goes to use his shave. And before he can even move, jet pistol straight into his stomach and knocking his ass over.
That spread is so good, too.
It's completely a great way to just throw off the expectations. Yep. Especially Blueno.
After that attack lands, Luffy disappears and Blueno's just like, I can't see where he went.
Nope. And all of a sudden, right from behind, just strikes him in the back, knocks him forward. He tries to recover. He gets a stamp instead, crashing him back into the ground. It's like, oh, hell.
Yeah. This is, I was going to say, this is like Luffy's Super Saiyan moment almost.
Yeah.
But then I remembered, like, in the anime version of this fight, there's the Dragon Ball teleport sound effects, like, as Luffy's just, like, disappearing all around and stuff. They're just like, yeah, they know what they were dealing with.
Oh, yeah, totally. And it gets to the point, it's like, oh, God, he's using this shave technique himself perfectly. I need to go and use this as air door.
I love the idea of Blueno being so overwhelmed where he's just like, oh god.
Okay, take some time, figure this out. Where do I need to go? I like that we get to see what he sees when he's in these doors.
Yeah.
And it's like he's trying to break it down. It's like he's not just using shave. His body is strong enough to do it easily. A person using the art of the six powers has unmatched speed he cannot lose. So if I turn his body into a door and keep him from moving, I'll win easily. I'll use my power to do away with him right now. So there's his plan. And Luffy's just like, well, he disappeared. And all of a sudden, here comes Blueno from above him, trying to grab him from behind.
Teleports behind you.
Yeah, Luffy just teleports behind. It's like, it's just his battle prowess here is so impressive. Like, oh, I noticed that when you look like you've disappeared, your feet are hitting the ground more than 10 times each instant to move. I figured out how to do it, so I'm glad that technique for moving exists. And that's when he's like, and it's just like, oh my god, he's gotten Goku level battle prowess here, where he can just figure out his opponents, like, how they do their thing.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the thing too, because I don't remember how much they explain about Gear 2 and like exactly when, but it's kind of like, I think what we can see here is that like it's sort of Luffy just kind of using his his battle prowess. Like he is seeing, and all throughout Water 7, seeing what the six powers are like and what they can do. You're like, oh no, like Luffy was paying attention, you know, he was like, okay, that's how they do it, I'm gonna try to figure it out myself.
And the thing is, this was foreshadowed. It was, because it was all throughout Water 7. He's trying to copy Kaku going across the buildings.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
he's already seeing this ability that he's like, how did they do that? I want to do that. And that's just him picking up on these powers and abilities and trying to figure it out himself so he can get stronger.
Yeah,
it's really well done. When you don't, it's there, but you might not notice it's there.
Yeah, yeah. You might not really understand what it's there for. Like what is this building up to? But yeah, I guess it's one of those things that's like Gear 2 is kind of out of nowhere, but also isn't at the same time. I think just because like in general, like you don't like One Piece doesn't have like training scenes and like the kind of typical shonen. Yeah, there's no kind of like Snake Way, or like Luffy never had, like, it's not like, oh, I have to find a mentor if I want to, learn this new technique or whatever.
Yeah, it is rare in that case, because we have so many like other shonens where it's like, we're going to take a little bit of time here and just show us, here's this new technique you need to learn. Here's here's a whole arc dedicated basically to Naruto trying to learn the Rasengan.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas I think in One Piece, it is often the characters relying on their own like ingenuity.
Yes.
Which I don't know. I'm not here to necessarily say if like one's a better approach over another, but I definitely, like, if you read a lot of shonen manga, you kind of notice the things that like the tropes that Oda is taking, and what he does, what he doesn't include.
Yeah, I don't think one's really necessarily better than the other, because those training arcs can often be a lot of the most fun, just seeing the characters learn this stuff. It does feel odd to just have it pop up like this, but we'll see how much explanation actually comes up. But our final clash is between Blueno trying to just tank it with his iron body strength versus Luffy's jet bazooka. And it seems like he's managed to do it. He's like still standing, and Luffy is like, all right, you're sturdy. Then I'm going to show you something even more interesting as he puts his thumb in his mouth and he says gear, but then nothing happens, and Blueno is like, oh, I'm down.
He's down.
He's just like, no, I can't take it. I'm down.
Yeah. Well, I guess I said this was Luffy's Super Saiyan moment. I guess it's more like his Kaioken moment.
Yeah.
Because the way that like his body can't keep up with it.
Yeah, because that's the whole point after this. It's like, I'm really tired. My body still can't keep up. But my body doesn't matter right now. I have to move ahead. It's like, whoo.
Yeah. How satisfying is it to see Blueno go down, like, after all we've seen with the six powers, and that Luffy is like has finally overcome it?
Yes. And it's so interesting that Blueno was used to sort of like, let's be honest, this is a stepping stone for Luffy, but it's still impressive.
He got Yamcha'd.
Yeah, he got Yamcha'd, just to show to the others potentially just how to do it. But it's still the thing. It's like, in order to beat Blueno, which, what was he, fourth most powerful?
Something like that. I think they mentioned later he's like a power level like 800 or something like that.
I think he was the fourth most powerful of all of them. For Luffy to take that down, it's like, how are the other Straw Hats going to handle this?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the big thing, but we'll see how that all goes. In the meantime, it's time for more chaos as the Giants are still rampaging through and just like, hey, you can't stop us. We're going to go through this. And Galilaw's looking at the Sniper King being like, how are they on our side? It's like, it's a bond between warriors for the courthouse.
Thank you, Sniper King. We couldn't have done it without you.
And now the Marines are like, what the heck's happening? This frog is taking a position in front of the main door and we can't get through. And Yokozuna's working with the Frankie family, just keep out everything.
They've got the choke point.
Yeah. On the right tower, we got the Frankie family going through, and we got, I forget whether it's which one of the girls it is, but they're fighting, taking care of all of them. And the other tower, the other one's going through, fighting all of them. In the center, we have them all fighting our three-headed justice and all that. So it's like, my God.
Yeah, it's everybody's getting in on the action.
Yes. It just fights everywhere. The Straw Hats are fighting through people as well, with Chopper's taking down people, Nami's knocking people out, Zoro's fighting more of these guys that just keep saying guilty. Seeing all this, Spandam's like, take Frankie and Robin to the gates of justice. We're not waiting.
Get them out of
here. we are not letting this happen. And they're like, the convoy that goes to the gates of justice isn't ready yet. That's fine. Just wait on the other side of the gate as long as necessary. As long as their target is not here, they can't do anything. And get CP9 here. It's like, after we get rid of you, after we get these two out of the way, we'll hunt down the pirates at our leisure. That's the plan right now. And we even get Kokoro being like, just laughing. It's like, oh, everything they do is exciting. No one of any sense would ever challenge this place. But whether they live or die, what they have done is no one has in the past 100 years. This moment could impress the whole world. And it's like, you really do forget about just how much is like what the significance is a lot of times, because
they're attacking the government.
Yeah. As a reader, you're kind of with them, where it's just like, we want Robin back. But when you think of the grand scheme of it, it's like, oh God, they are just fighting the government.
The fight is over. The world will ring with the sound of that Straw Hat Boy's name. And it's just like, this is, I feel like you sort of get the feeling the scale of the One Piece world is just getting that ever little bit bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. And I love with Luffy calling out that he's come for Robin, and Frankie's happy, Robin's unsure, and Spandam is freaking the hell out. The best. And we even get this 2-page spread at the very end to just lay out all of Venus Lobby and seeing where everybody's at, what's going on here. I can't even look at it all because it's just like there's so much detail.
This is I feel like the part where like Oda is really stepping up just like how big of a scale like his arcs get to be, where you're just like we're into this massive arena and we're just following so many different like factions and so many different like sub factions of characters all trying to accomplish different goals to reach the same goal, or they're all trying to get to the same place. Honestly, it is impressive, and it is only going to get more impressive as the manga goes on. But this is definitely like, while I was reading this, I was like, oh yeah, this is when like the scale of everything just gets out of control.
Mm-hmm. And looking at CP9 with Blueno down, it does seem like we're down to 6 members of CP9. So basically our surviving Straw Hats plus either Robin or Frankie getting a fight each.
Yeah.
Seems to be the way that we're getting set up. So that's exciting. But in the meantime, we need to get to chapter 389, Response, where, turns out that was not Mr. 3. That was actually
Mr. 2.
Mr. 2 dressed up as Mr. 3, and he jumps out of it and kicks Iron Body, and he's here to rescue Miss Valentine.
Bod Clay's the GOAT, man.
Right? I love this. There's like this whole other mini arc of fighting the government.
Yeah.
I don't care about the rest of Baroque mainly, but man, Mr. 2 is awesome.
Yeah. Just continue. I think you get the feeling that Oda really likes his character.
Yeah, for sure. We pick back up with Luffy still calling out for Robin, and Spandam freaking out. It's like, oh, that's Straw Hat Luffy yelling at the top of his lungs. And he's like, no, that can't be it. It was when I looked earlier, Blueno was on the roof. He was keeping guard. What's he doing at a time like this? And in the meantime, Luffy's like, this is why I have these deep pockets for my pants, so I can have snacks. And he pulls out the meat.
Well, I think what I love about this is, one, you're just seeing Luffy be like his silly old self. Meanwhile, Spandam is just kind of like, oh God, it's Straw Hat Luffy. Like, he must be a monster. He's just like, oh, so that's him. And he's just kind of like, Blueno lost to that brat.
Yeah. How did that happen? He's like, that's just not possible. He's just like, get Lucci and the others, every one of them. I command that Straw Hat Luffy and his gang shall be completely annihilated. We're done here. Tell Baskerville that if he loses those pirates and they lower the drawbridge, all 3 of his heads will roll. And he's just barking out orders like, we will not let this happen. And I love these interactions between Frankie and Robin.
Frankie knows what's up here. Like I feel like he's got Robin's number like almost immediately. It feels like
it does seem like it. He's like, those guys have made it this close. That's really something. And I understand now that you believe the offer made by the government and let yourself be brought here, but your agreement has just been completely reversed by that idiot. So sitting quietly is not going to make someone come and save you. There's no other way way out other than to accept their help. But you don't seem keen on doing that at all. So you're still running away from something. What are you afraid of? What are they going to do? If you keep turning away, they won't be able to save you. So I'm going to help you see Straw Hat so you can actually talk about this.
Which I didn't know what he meant by that at first.
Yeah. And then we turn back and we see his butt expanding.
I love again. Spandam. He has great freak out faces. Is it constipation?
Yeah.
I love Frankie's just like, I've had an epiphany. I'm gonna kill myself by blowing myself up.
I'm going to take you jerks with me. This explosion will reach almost 2 miles in diameter. So don't try to stop me. And he starts counting down, and Spandam, everybody starts running away, falling down the stairs over themselves. And in the meantime, Frankie grabs hold of Robin and uses Coop de Boo.
There's something really like cursed about like Robin just like in between his legs as his ass is expanding. One Piece is a weird comic.
Yeah, it is. But this cyber fart that he does is enough that he breaks through the chains, launches through the building, and is only saved from going out into the depths below because he hit a fence.
Like I said, Frankie's the GOAT, man. He busted the chains. He's super.
Oh my gosh. Frankie has become such a favorite over the course of these chapters.
Yeah. He's a chaos agent.
From the very odd openings where he just seemed like this guy that you were completely against because of what he did to the Mary and to Usopp, to just the best guy.
Yeah. He's a bro. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, he's doing all of this for like the crew that, blew up his house, basically.
Yeah. Oh man. And he's like, dang it, if only I had one more cola, I could do another coup d'event and get us to the other side. But hey, Straw Hat's there. Now talk to him. And Robin sees Luffy. Luffy sees Robin. He's happy to see it. And Frankie's holding him off. And Luffy's just getting ready to jump over to try to make it. And that's when Robin tells him to wait. And and rather than actually ask for help, she says, go home. I don't even want to see your faces anymore. Why did you come to save me? I just want to die. And we're kind of back to where she was at the end of Alabasta.
Right, where she just wanted to die, and it was like, that was your crime, was saving my life.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting that she's back to this point.
Yeah. I do find it interesting, like, because obviously, like, they could step in at any time, but like Spandam notices this and he's just kind of like, he's just laughing it up, like,
we broke her spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're gonna watch the world, like, we could step in, but like, let's see how things turn out. Like, let's just watch.
Yeah. And Frankie's like, what are you doing? They risked their lives to come here. And she's like, that was your decision. And he's trying to like talk more sense into her when all of a sudden out of nowhere comes Kaku, just kicks him in the face.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I think it's Jabra making fun of him. He's just like, you upset because you ate that weird fruit? And he's just like, shut up, I like it. And like,
yeah.
It's like, what happened here?
Yeah. Well.
And then here comes CP9 out the window, using their techniques to get next to Spandam. And they're just like, all right, they're fighting amongst themselves. Let's see how this turns out, because this is now fun. And we get a nice spread of CP9.
Look at them all posing. God damn.
It's so good. Like, freaking Khalifa looks like she's trying to be on a magazine cover.
Yeah, seriously. Strike a pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny that Lucci remarks like, yeah, but Blueno got beat. I guess he ran a bar for 5 years and stole anyone's skills.
Yeah, they're just sort of laughing at him and just like, how he did? He lost. How could he lose? And man, so good, so good. We do have an SPS. Nothing too crazy here, but I do love the one where somebody asks, it looks like this one dog's talking to the other dog. What are they talking about? And could Chopper translate? And Chopper translates like, well, it turns out Jabber of CP9 was dumped by the waitress Catherine. Right, dog? No kidding, with a laugh. And you can actually see him laughing in this. So I'm like, I think it is true.
Oh. I would totally believe that Oda had that planned out.
I love that that's stupid. Like, they're just laughing about Jabber getting broke up with or getting dumped. All right, our last chapter for this episode, 390, accepting the challenge. And oh man, I'm kind of hyped for this, where it's Mr. 2 versus Hina.
This cover art might be one of the best ones. Just God, seeing Seeing Mr. Two back in action, seeing him, fighting up against Hida.
Yeah. And having
I
Hida
never thought
remove the
this would
coat in
happen.
that way, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, damn.
Like, is this the best cover story?
I
be
think this is the best cover story.
Yeah.
I think this is easily the best cover story so far.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is great.
Who would have guessed, starting with Miss Golden Week of all things?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
boy.
We're here.
We begin with Yokozuna still holding off all the Marines, not letting them get into the gates. And all of a sudden, one of the people next to him gets shot. And it's like, oh boy, the guilt jury is here. And these are the guys with the iron balls that we've been seeing. And
Yeah, it's interesting to me that they've been kind of hidden. And now that we see them, and it's just like, oh, they're kind of just guys. Like, I mean, they got the bondage gear, but like they're just dudes. So I don't really know what the buildup was for.
I guess just kind of strong gimps with giant balls, but they do
Yeah.
seem effective because they're knocking out members of the Frankie family out of the tower.
Yeah, holy crap.
The two girls are sort of left on their own as they're trying to fight these guys that just keep saying guilty over and over, and they don't flinch against them. Even though Sanji was able to take them out easily, Sanji's not normal. So
Yeah,
this is definitely
it feels like they've met their match a little bit.
Yeah, we're starting to see the limits here. And even now we're getting like, oh, Baskerville is actually pretty strong, and the Frankie family is struggling against them. And even like they're wondering, like, I didn't think there'd actually be a judge here. They thought they just passed through an empty courthouse.
Okay, yeah,
And-
that's what I meant earlier.
Yeah. And the Baskerville says, the courthouse is the seat of the greatest authority in the world. The trials here are fair and just, with the exception being the jury, which makes the final judgment of guilty or not guilty. But they're all former pirates who've been sentenced to execution, so they just want to bring others down with them. So there's never been a single soul in all of history who was not found guilty. So that's how their system works, is they let pirates judge each other and let pirates kill each other so they could still have the moral high ground, I guess.
I guess kind of learning a lot about the morality of the government here.
Yeah, I guess so. But Zoro lost once again.
Yes. Well, I love that he's just kind of like, all right, screw it, I'm going up.
Yep.
And you see him put a sword in his mouth, and you're just like, oh no.
And all the while, Chopper and Nami are taking on this one of these jurors, yelling guilty all the time. And just as they're about to fight, all of a sudden, here comes Dragon Twister, taking that guy out, taking the floor out, having to make sure we don't get another panty shot of Nami as this all happens. And yeah, thanks, Zoro, basically.
Okay, well, they got a free ride up, I guess.
I guess so. But for Yokozuna, it's just too much. He's taken so many direct hits from the ball from that juror, and it's just been too much. He's wearing out at this point because there's still over 6,000 enemies to take down. They've taken 4,000 enemies down, but there's still 6,000 left. My God.
Yeah.
But just in the nick of time, impressed by the Yokozuna's gumption, here comes Oimo and Kashi, and they're just like, yep, bye. They start wrecking.
Like, let us take care of this. God, it really feels like the Giants are kind of the win button now.
They kind of are. It's pretty amazing, especially for how, not easily, but how effectively, the Frankie and the Galilei family took them down.
Yeah.
And they just say, oh yeah, King of Snipers, you better hurry too. Your comrades are headed for the rooftop. And he's just like, oh, I think I know where this is going.
Just leave it to us. Just like, what?
And Luffy's still like, wait, you want to die? And she's like, yeah. Once again, Spanner's just like, let's wait and watch him like rejects him. It's like, it's fascinating. It's fun. Listen to the desperate cry of him, like him asking if she wants to die. I wish I could see his face, and it goes to him picking his nose.
He's just like, what the heck are you talking about?
You're being dumb.
Yeah. And I love that this from Luffy, just like, Robin, all of us are already here, so we're going to save you. And if you still want to die, and you can sort of see like all the Straw Hats kind of coming in their own ways behind Luffy.
Nice landing from Nami.
Yeah. She gets a good landing. Chopper lands on his head.
It's like, well, if you want to die, then do it later. And Zoro's just like, I should have just started climbing like this and begin with. And all of a sudden, here comes Sanji kicking his way through. He's like, undoubtedly, I'm the first to arrive. It's like, oh God, I've even been beaten by Zoro to the top. And then, they're all arriving. It's like here comes Sniper King praying as he gets launched.
I think the giants yeeted him.
I think they yeeted him.
Yeah.
And you can see CP9 looking kind of like just upset that more and more keeps showing up.
I like the sound effects kind of like explaining what's happening off screen. We're just you get the pew crash. Sniper King.
It's so good. But man, Luffy's still talking to her. It's like, I'm begging you, Robin, if you want to die or whatever, you can say whatever you want, but you have to say it to our faces. Come back, Robin.
Tears welling up in her eyes.
It's so good.
Oh man.
And then we get what might be my favorite panel in all of One Piece so far.
This is the money shot.
Like, it could be, like, I don't know if it's been topped yet, I'll be honest, because this is just so friggin' iconic of just the Straw Hats lined up, saying to leave the rest of them, wanting to get Robin back.
Yeah. This reminds me of the one when they all left Alabasta, where they had the X's on their wrists, saying goodbye to Vivi. But like now they're just like seeing the Straw Hats all just like lined up, just like, we're ready to fight. Leave the rest to us. It's man, it's a good shot. Yeah.
It's one of those things which almost gets you teary eyed because it's like, hell yeah.
Like we finally made it. What it feels like to me.
Yeah. When did we start these chapters? When did we arrive on Enos Lobby?
Oh man, that must have been like 6 months ago.
Well, no, Enos Lobby, not Water 7.
Enos Lobby, okay.
Yeah.
Enos Lobby, yeah.
I
just
think
a couple months then.
I think it's been like probably like 20 or so, 25 chapters just for them to arrive on Enos Lobby to get to the gate to actually try to rescue Robin.
Yeah. We have finally reached the starting line.
Yes. We finally get this fight.
Oh man.
I'm
This set of chapters in particular was just awesome. Like, it really feels like the arc is started in full.
You kind of have a feeling of how it's going to go from this point on. It's time to start. It's probably time to start pairing off.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Pretty soon. But I actually do. I do remember what's coming up next, and it's going to be a little bit till we get there. But I'm so excited.
This is the arc that keeps on giving.
Yes,
it really is.
Yes, it is. But with that, I believe we've said all we've wanted to say about chapters 386 to 390 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about the anime, manga, games, and my job, and excuse me, yeah, just more of that.
Yep, definitely check more of that out. And if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 391 to 395 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
Robin, work with me here. You can say what you want. If you want to die or whatever, that's fine. But when you say it as part of our crew.